bow. Yo, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. I almost fell asleep over here, like prepping for the show. And like, if you look at my notes, bro, they're like really small. Like, pause. These are the notes I got. But I want to start this off with a confession. I have a confession. I enjoy Sexy Red's music entirely way too much. Like, I'm over here about to snooze out. I still got a whole fire to light. I got a whole stick to smoke, pause, all of that. And I'm like, yo, what's going to wake me up? We started off with a little bit of Glorilla. And then we went to Sexy Red. And then I'm sitting there. I'm like, bro, I shouldn't like this. I'm better than this. But I'm not. I'm not. That ratchet stuff, I don't know. It just does something to me. It does. But anyway, so I'm here by myself. I had a crazy week, man. Was up in Atlanta doing job fairs and then had class and stuff. So Parlay Pete and I weren't able to link up to do the pod this week, but I don't want to neglect the listeners. So I decided to do a late night Saturday night pod just so y'all can get some thoughts, at least from me. And I may even give him a call, even though he and Julian Turner are out having fun, probably drinking. But I just wanted to give y'all some thoughts on the conference finals wrapping up. A little bit of finals preview. I'm going to touch on some of the Cait Hate. Going to talk about the trumped up charges. And but we're going to open here. I'm so sick and tired of you relationship and you parents on social media. You know, sometimes there's great advice there, but I've said it here multiple times. The only people who can give relationship advice on social media and be perfectly honest are people who aren't in relationships, because you just can't get on there and talk about some of the ins and outs of and the difficulties of a relationship on a public platform and maintain your relationship, at least not with a person who has a pulse. Because, like, dog, if you start speaking to your different coping mechanisms, the things that you're going through, the stuff that you're hiding from your partner, I mean, how terrible would it be for your partner to find out about that, publicly? So I think all of those people are full of it. But I'm starting to see a lot of posts speaking on how people feel and like, hey, he's not mad at you. He's just depressed, trying to figure out the next move, and he just needs a space. Or she only lashes out at you because she's feeling this, that, and the third. And it's like, hey, man, how about y'all shut up? How about y'all stop validating bad behavior? How about y'all stop gaslighting people and their experiences and what they feel when they're going through those things? Even if your explanation is valid, your explanation is true, you're also devaluing what the person on the other side of it feels. And when you're talking about a relationship, it doesn't matter why I do something that upsets my wife, right? It doesn't matter why I may become distant and disconnect for a brief period of time. That stuff doesn't necessarily matter. The why doesn't matter. The what matters, because you've now made the person that you've made a commitment to feel less than. You've now made that person you've made a commitment to feel like you're not committed, whether it's long term or just in that moment. And that's not okay. It's not okay at all. So the people out here who are hurt and they're speaking to other hurt people and they are allowing hurt people to remain hurt and not work on themselves, and now because it's a viral clip with a million views, 1,000 shares, 100,000 likes, because it's relatable. Yeah, it's relatable, but just because something is relatable doesn't mean it's acceptable. Like, I can sit here and have a toxic conversation with some dudes, and that shit's totally relatable. But I can be like, oh man, but that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it okay to feel that way and act that way. You know, it's just more of this echo chamber society that we live in. We want to be validated, right? We want people to agree with us. We want people to say, oh yeah, no, I've been through that too, man. Yeah, I know it. Well, I know exactly how you feel, dog. That shit's okay. Maybe, but maybe not. What if it's not okay? What if your way of coping it violates your relationship? What if your way of finding peace is you finding peace, but it creates chaos at home? That's not okay. Yes, it's understandable by some. Yes, it's relatable to others. But that doesn't make it acceptable behavior. And I'm tired of these fake ass influencers. I can call them fake influencers. I'm tired of these misinformed influencers, these uneducated influencers, these influencers who need to do the work, telling you how to do the work, and they ain't done it yet. I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody how to be a great parent. I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody how to be a great husband. I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody how to be a great partner because I don't even know if I'm good at any of these things. I'm trying. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm being a partner. I'm being a husband. I'm being a dad. I don't know if I'm good at it. Now, I can tell you how to be a great student. I can tell you that. I can tell you how to be a community activist. There are some things I can teach. I can teach you I can talk to you about the importance of words and being a wordsmith, because those are things that I'm good at. I have years and years and proof of concept with those things that I'm comfortable sharing with you. Now, I can speak to my experience as a dad and things that I've done, things that I've tried, and things that have worked. I can speak to my experience of being a husband, things I've done, things that I've tried, things that worked, things that didn't work, how this made me feel, how that made me feel. I can do that. But what I can't do is come out here and tell you, oh, no, bro, this is how you need to do it because this is going to work. Bro, I've only been married 2 years. What the hell do I know? Shit, I ain't put my kid in elementary school yet. She's still in daycare. What can I tell you about figuring that stuff out? Now, I can tell you what I've done wrong. Oh yeah, but we can talk about that all day. And I can tell you some things that I think I've done right. But I can't sit here and act like I'm some authority on that stuff. And neither should these people. Because what we don't take into consideration is, bro, like these people are speaking in a vacuum. They're speaking in generalities. They're speaking in what works for them. But just because something like makes sense, even if it's like a socially acceptable standard of behavior, doesn't necessarily mean it works in your house, because that person you're with, they may not live by the socially accepted standards of behavior. So now what? I've given you some advice that would work with the average person, but it doesn't work with your person. So I'm going to wrap this up by giving some relationship advice, some parenting advice. As I said, I'm not an authority on it. Do what works for you in your situation. That's it. Do what works for you in your situation. Now we're going to light this up. I'm going to pour another shot, okay? Because I like to take shots, and it's Saturday night, and, you know, I'm at home. The evolution of my life. I used to never be home on Saturday nights. Back when I was younger than my prime, I could shoot a shot any old time. And I was, you know, I was working in my yard yesterday. I cut my grass and stuff, and then hung out with the wife, drank a bottle of wine together, lit a fire, and just sat out there and vibed out, listened to some Stevie Wonder. I was like, dang, boy. I don't walk like I used to walk because she made a difference. I don't talk like I used to talk because she made a difference. I don't live like I used to live because she made a difference. What a change! Yeah. All of that stuff, right? And then my Saturday, I went to like this family event with the family, obviously. Then I went to Home Depot, got some materials, and I worked in my yard. I'm like, golly, boy, you're washed. Your Saturday night, your Saturday, you working in the yard, working till the sun went down. Hell, I was working in the yard last night after the sun went down just because I was up, and I was like, fuck it. Now it's a Saturday night, and I'm sitting here recording a pod, drinking shots. What up, Boink? You already left. Just having a grand old time, right? Yeah, just change up what you do, and you get washed up. But anyways, let's talk some NBA. So the finals matchups are set. We've got Dallas versus Boston. Dallas versus Boston. We got Kyrie coming back to Boston. We got Kristaps going back to Dallas. We got Kristaps and Gafford, who last year played for the Wizards, and they're now playing for a championship. You talk about, oh man, how life can change in a year. So just look at those two people. And hell, throw Kyrie in there with all of the negative media attention that he received over the last couple of years, and your situation can be better, will be better if you do the work, if you put yourself in the right situation. And those guys were obviously fortunate to be put in better situations than they were once in. You know, it's crazy. So just look at those people. And you know what? If you're going through something right now, if life's not great, just know that it can be better in as quickly as a year. But anyways, let's get to Dallas. Dallas ends up knocking out Minnesota in 5 games. They beat the dog piss out of them. In game 5, Luka had 20 in the first quarter, and I turned the game off at halftime. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in the house and watch a show or a movie with my wife because this game's not even worth watching. It's not. It's over. You know, Vince Carter, it's over. And shout out to Dallas. Like I told y'all on here a couple days ago, I got the pick wrong. That's fine. It actually made more sense for Dallas to get over the hump because you look at where Luka's at in his career. He's 25. He's about to start his prime. Yeah, he hasn't started his prime yet, guys. Kyrie, he's a vet. He's been there before. And the best player on Minnesota is 22 years old. That usually does not happen in the NBA. And especially with Minnesota, they don't really have any other consistent offensive threats who can get their own basket. It makes sense when Dallas has 2. But shout out to Dallas and what they've done, man. And here's what I love about this. I love Kyrie getting to another finals. I love it because Kyrie, some because of decisions that he's made that were outside of basketball, and some basketball decisions that he's made put him in a position to be viewed negatively, to where people were questioning his judgment, people were questioning his passion. I mean, we had Stephen A. Smith, stupid ass, telling him he needs to retire. Excuse me? No, he doesn't. He's one of the best basketball players to ever touch a hardwood. Pause. So he should go out there and he should play ball, you know? And he's done that. And he's played at a high level. And if Dallas wins, I don't want this to turn into Luka's leadership, the influence that Luka's had on Kyrie. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but Kyrie is his own man. Kyrie is Kyrie, and Kyrie is doing what Kyrie does. And I'm happy to see Kyrie doing what he does at a very high level because he's that freaking good. And he deserves to be talked about in a positive light for what he does on the court. We can be mad at him for not taking the vaccine. I was mad at him. I'm like, hey, bro, like you're part of a team and what you're doing is hurting your team. Now, I also disagree with the New York law that didn't allow him to play. But I'm like, bro, if your job wants you to do something, you want to do that job, then you have to do it. But it was bigger. It was bigger than just a job for him. It was about a lifestyle, who he is. And I can never knock somebody for standing on their morals, standing on their values, and saying, hey, this is what I believe. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do. I'm not gonna bend. Shit, shout out to Kyrie. But also, I look at this. Luka Doncic's third pick in his draft, traded on draft day to the Hawks for Trae Young and first round pick, and the Hawks got it wrong. Should have kept Luka. Yeah. Trae fit the city better, but Trae's not even going to be in the city much longer, if you ask me. Yeah. You probably should have kept Luka in Atlanta, man. We would have rallied behind him because Luka set himself up. I mean, if he wins his championship, oh man, he's going to be called the best player in the league. He was second in MVP. He won the scoring title. He gets buckets. He's nasty. He's a bad mama jamma. Whereas the Hawks got Trae, who's 25 and 10 every night and is hated by everyone and doesn't necessarily make teammates better. But this is more credit to Mark Cuban and the brain trust over there, Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd, and actually building a team that works for Luka. Because I've came on this platform multiple times and said, yeah, Luka's great, but he's just white James Harden. But he's showing he's actually better than that. Now, he might not win a championship. This may be the only finals he goes to, and then he flames out in other playoffs and he becomes white James Harden. But as we sit here today, that's not who he is, because the one finals that James Harden went to, he didn't lead that team. He was coming off the bench. Luka's leading his team. Luka's is trying to play defense. Luka is scoring, he's rebounding, he's passing the ball, he's allowing Kyrie to cook. He's feeding the big fellows the oops. He's doing that. His game has evolved, and I think this is beautiful, right? I think Luka deserves a lot of credit. He deserves a lot of respect for what he's done to make this team a better team and get them to the finals. I also think J. Kidd deserves some respect. I mean, because his coaching journey has been quite a coaching journey. It wasn't great in Milwaukee. They got better when he left. It wasn't great in Brooklyn. But now he's finally came back to Dallas, where he won a championship as a player, and he has them competing for a championship. Shout out to Jason Kidd. Report said that he had a team meeting. He called players out, and after that meeting, they became one of the best defenses in the league because they weren't playing defense. Shout out to Nico Harrison for making trades. They needed some players. He went and got them. Shout out to Grant Williams, because he went from playing for the Celtics and playing for the Mavericks to now playing for Charlotte. This doesn't happen without you, Grant, because they don't get PJ Washington without you. And I know Grant is somewhere sick, waiting on his Celtics tribute video that he doesn't deserve. And now he's watching his two former teams play in the finals. Meanwhile, he's on a lottery team, a terrible team. But shout out to them. I think Dallas is ultimately going to win the finals because they've played in so many close games and they've shown the ability to actually operate. Now, I think the Celtics are the best team that they've run up against in this playoffs, but the Celtics aren't battle tested. I mean, they clinched so early in the regular season, the number one seed, that they didn't have competitive games. The East was trash. They beat the shit out of all of those bad teams, and they did the same thing in the playoffs. They only lost 2 games in the playoffs. They're fucking, 3-4 game series, 2 losses. So 3 times 4 is 12. They're 12-2 in the playoffs. They beat bad teams. They beat injury-riddled teams. In the regular season, they beat more bad teams. And we've seen that in tight games that they don't look like themselves. When does Kristaps come back? Because I promise you, if Kristaps ain't back in game 1, Al Horford is going to get murdered. High pick and roll. Come on. Come on. Bring out big ass up here. Switch. Finish him. He's going to be sitting there. Finish him. And that's just what it's going to be, you know. But I think the Celtics, man, they have a great roster. I think they have a really good team, but they have a bad coach. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm pulling for the Mavericks simply because, you know, I don't want Joe Mazzulla to win a championship. I don't think Joe Mazzulla is a good enough coach to win a championship. I do believe that Joe Mazzulla has been fortunate with a great roster. He's in a great situation, kind of like, you know, Kristaps Porzingis going from a bad situation to a great situation. To where Joe Mazzulla has the opportunity to win a championship. They are the favorites to win the championship. Put your money on Dallas. But come on, man. It's bad enough Doc got a ship. So he can always get a job. But Joe Ass? Oh, hell no. We can't let Joe Ass get no damn championship. That's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. But it's going to be nice to see a new premier player win a championship. You know, you got Luka versus Tatum, 2 first-team All-NBA guys, multiple-time first-team All-NBA guys, and now they have the opportunity to win their first championship. And I'm curious to see what that does moving forward. You know, Jokic is probably kicked off of the mountain as the best player in the NBA. I think it's dumb to do this year by year because it is a team game and a player can be really fucking good, but his team doesn't show up for whatever reason. And now we're going to put somebody else above that person just because their team won. I think that's dumb. I think that is lazy. I think that lacks depth. I think that lacks, you know, context, you know. I think but that's what we're going to do because it's a fun thing to do. Now, if Luka wins it, the Great White Hope wins it, he is the best player in the NBA. But if Luka loses it, he still might be the best player in the NBA. Like, I don't know if the Mavericks versus the Celtics should answer that question for anybody. But what if the Celtics win? What does that do for Jason Tatum? Hell, what does that do for the Celtics? You know, the great franchise who has a bunch of championships, but not many championships post Bill Russell and only one post Larry Bird. What does that do for them? What does it do for Jason Tatum if Jaylen Brown wins Finals MVP? He already won Eastern Conference MVP, which Jason Tatum probably should have won, but he didn't. What does that do for him? If the Celtics win the championship, does Jason Tatum now become an MVP frontrunner? And he puts up the same numbers, but because he's won a championship, we can take those numbers a bit more seriously. These are the questions that I have. If the Mavericks win, does Luka win MVP next year? Probably. Well, what do we say about Kyrie Irving? I mean, these are questions that I have because the finals will not change how I actually view these players. I think Luka's arguably the best player in the league. I think Kyrie's the most talented point guard to ever touch a basketball court. I think Jason Tatum is a great underrated player. Yeah, I know he's first team All NBA, but I think he's underrated. But I also think that Jaylen Brown is on any given day the best Celtic. I think he has that dog in him. Pause. I don't think the finals is going to change how I view any of these players. But hey, the Celtics, they've been there before. Well, a few of them have. Does that experience matter? I don't think it does. I think experience is overrated. In a sense that if you're prepared, you're prepared. Now, we look at Minnesota, they weren't prepared for the Eastern Conference Finals. Ant-Man was tired. Ant-Man was sluggish. He was hiding in the corner. He wasn't his same aggressive self on defense. He wasn't getting buckets. You know, it's like, And then I saw the split screen of Ant versus the Mavericks versus Shea, and they were trying to say one's the face of the league and one's, well, you know what? Shea got put out in the second round. Yeah, he was averaging 30, but he got put out in the second round. He played less games, less wear and tear on his body. So it's different. And Shea hasn't seen the third round before, so guess what? You don't get to be him until you get there. You can be him in OKC, but you can't be him in this league until you get there. And then my next question is, what does the finals do for the Olympics? You know, Ant-Man's going to walk into Olympics practice with the utmost confidence. But what happens if Jason Tatum wins that ring and he shows up? It's like, hey, KD, bruh, one of y'all niggas got to hit the bench because I'm him. That could happen. It might happen. Do I think Jason Tatum is better at basketball in the Olympics than LeBron or KD? No, I don't. They've had more time with the FIBA ball, too. But we shall see. I mean, what happens if Luka wins it? What type of confidence does he go into the Olympics with when he's playing for his home team of Latvia? I mean, it's just gonna be Luka and a bunch of guys. But what does that do? And again, what does it do for Joe Mazzulla if he wins the championship? I'll tell you the one thing that's came out of this. I know it was public perception. It was the perceived anti-Semitic statements by Kyrie. But Mr. Irving should be playing in the Olympics this year. Right? Yeah, Mr. Irving should be playing in the Olympics this year. And then, you know, after the Olympics is over, we're going to have the offseason. LeBron, you know, Rich Paul's already come out and say LeBron's a free agent. LeBron, he's turning down workouts. He's only working out like for the Suns and the Lakers. LeBron's going back to LA. Somebody said, hey, LeBron should sign a minimum contract to go to the Suns. No, he shouldn't. He should stay where the hell he's at. And then you have conversations around Jimmy Butler, Paul George. What are they going to do? Should one of them go to Philly? Because the Clippers have not offered Paul George a max contract. Obviously, the Heat are not the happiest with Jimmy Butler. You know, you had Pat Riley come out and say Jimmy shouldn't be talking about stuff if he's hurt. You know, if you don't play, you shouldn't talk. Hey, Pat Riley, shut your old ass up, nigga. James Butler can say whatever he wants to say. He's the reason why your franchise is still relevant. Yeah, Jimmy Butler did that. Trae Young, what's going to happen with him? DeJounte Murray, what's going to happen with him? Are the Hawks going to just do a total rebuild? I don't know. I think we got an interesting offseason coming up in the NBA, and I'm looking forward to the finals. I'm looking forward to previewing the finals with Parlay Pete on Wednesday, and we'll really dive into that much deeper. I'm just hitting wave tops today. But another thing I want to talk about as I sip my Miller Lite, who doesn't sponsor the show, which they should, is, man, there's a lot of Cait Hate in the W. We saw today against the Chicago Sky, I think that's their name, O-Block. Shorty just like pushed the shit out of Caitlin Clark for no reason. And she gets fouled hard. She gets hit on hard screens, you know. Shorty said she wasn't answering any Caitlin Clark questions. And I get it, man. There's some hate there. She got all this publicity. She's getting all this hype. And they're like, hey, we're good at basketball too. You know, me too. But didn't nobody give a damn about y'all. Wasn't nobody watching y'all. Wasn't nobody going to y'all's games. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I honestly believe that the players in the WNBA, again, in between the lines, bust their ass, kill her. But they should pay. They should pay homage. They should pay respect to what Caitlin Clark is doing because she's changing their lives. She's bringing more money to the league. She's the reason they're flying private and not hopping on Spirit to go from town to town to catching a Greyhound. It's because of Caitlin. She's bringing the viewers. She has the engagement high. And, you know, Matt Barnes, he had a great point. He was talking about some of the Caitlin Clark stuff. And he was talking about, like, where are her teammates? Why are they not backing her up? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Caitlin Clark may be a prick. She may be an asshole. She may not be a nice human being. She may be cocky. She may be arrogant. All of that stuff. All of that could be very well true. But they got to stop hating. They need to be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. They even say, thank you, Caitlin, for bringing more relevance to this league. Thank you, Caitlin, for bringing more eyes to this league. And most importantly, thank you, Caitlin, for changing my life and putting more money in my pocket. Caitlin gonna be the reason why they don't have to use their degrees to go be basketball coaches and stuff. You know what I mean? Caitlin may very well be the reason why they add another team to the WNBA and more teams and they expand the league and they get more pay and all that. Yeah, Caitlin. You know why? Because she generates income. A lot of y'all don't. And I was going to talk about this with Parlay Pete, you know, because people were upset that Caitlin Clark got a signature shoe before A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson's obviously the best player in the WNBA. If you watch it, you know, Arike Ngwaku, however you say her last name, no offense, I'm sorry, you know, but you know, I'm talking about Arike from Dallas. Is fire, not getting the love. Diana Taurasi, she's old, she's washed, she's still five, but she's still old and washed, you know, and they doing all they deserve this love, you know. Skylar Diggins Smith, yeah, she brought a little bit of eyes, but not too many, not on the game, at least, you know. We got BG Brittany Griner, we got Kelsey Plum, we got Chelsea Gray, you know. There's some bad ballers in the WNBA, but they ain't that. And there needs to be less hate and more appreciation. Again, I'm not saying that you don't play hard against her. I'm not saying you just roll over for her. I'm not saying you don't go out there and try to expose her for who she is. But at the same time, you can appreciate what she's done for your league, what she's done for your life, and what she's doing for your life. Yeah, you can do that same stuff. And the cheap shots, the dirty plays, like, I'm all about playing dirt. Like, as an athlete, I play dirty. I talk shit, I grab, you do all that shit, you know, step on your feet when you're trying to grab a rebound. Yeah, I play dirty. But at the same time, I know where my bread is buttered. I played with a 5-star athlete in high school. I ain't hit him in his legs in practice. I just let him run my ass over. I just hit him head up. Well, it's okay. He do it on Fridays to everybody else. But if I'm playing against him, I'm oh boy, ankles all day. Because he couldn't, you know what I'm saying? He couldn't do all that. He could just go. And in practice, it's physical. We talking shit. It's fuck you. Nigga, you soft. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, bro, you lucky coach blew the whistle. All of that stuff. Yeah, they just trying to protect you out here, nigga. Yeah, I'm talking all that crazy to him. But I understood. What's up, Kevin? I understood that, like, you know, he was a vital asset to our team. He was a great guy, and he's the reason why we got to go to different camps and got different invites and got scouts coming. Yeah, you got to understand. You got to understand where you are at the pecking order. And I think that's the problem in the WNBA is that, like, these women don't understand where they are in the pecking order. They're such basketball purists. They don't understand that, like, pro sports is a business. It's a TV show. And for years, the WNBA has been a bad TV show. It's not saying that the product itself is bad, but it doesn't rate. People don't watch. People don't care. Y'all playing in AAU gyms at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. Ain't nobody coming or watching. Caitlin Clark got you on prime time. She got you on NBA TV. She getting y'all on TV. Yeah, because people want to watch her. Don't hate. Don't worry. Be happy. That's all. But hey, her teammates got to step up, bro. Y'all can't just be letting these girls just pick her and bully her and stuff like that, bro. Y'all got to jump in and get tossed or something. You know, you gotta cuss somebody out. You know what I'm saying? You got to do like Dejanay and her girl did in that one game where it's like, hold on, what's going on here, bro? Why you do? Why? You, well, hold on. You doing all this defending and stuff, and we on different teams. You supposed to take up for me. Yeah, no, go take up for your teammate and stop putting the hits out on her. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about these Trump charges. So, Donald Trump was found guilty on the charges in New York, 34 on all 34 counts, found guilty. He is now technically a convicted felon. Sentencing is going to come down soon. There's going to be some appeals. It's going to get nasty. But I find this whole thing just like absolutely nuts, right? In like the first 24 hours of the charges of him being convicted, he raised like $50 million. And it scares me about the future of America because we're no longer living in a country where truth matters. We're no longer living in a country where, you know, rule of law is a thing, where we have standards. We have somebody who is a convicted felon. And mind you, as a convicted felon, can't be a teacher. Not for a public school. You can't join the military. You can't vote. But you get to lead the country. It's absolutely insane. And I'm not saying based on his political views, based on him as a candidate, it should be okay. Like he's not a good candidate or the best candidate. I'm not getting into that. I'm getting into the standards that we once held, and now we're no longer holding those for a person who creates a false image of what this country is to people. It goes back to what I talked about earlier of the just because something's relatable doesn't mean it's acceptable. Just because Donald Trump is relatable and he speaks a language to people that they feel, especially the disenfranchised, does not mean that his behavior is acceptable. And what are we saying as a country if we elect a convicted felon? Where do we go from there? I mean, you talk about the January 6th stuff, then you throw this on top of it. What does that say? Now, maybe, just maybe, the DOJ is being weaponized against him. And if that's being done, I think that's wrong as well, because that creates a new precedent that we can go after our political rivals that we don't agree with through the justice system, and that's going to be a nasty cycle that will continue and continue and continue. It's not okay. We've got to get out of our echo chambers. We have to get out of our bubbles. We have to stop being so freaking either or. We've got to add context. Because when we lack context, we lack true direction. Because you don't know, like, bro, it can say drive straight. Does that mean drive straight on the road, or does it mean just drive straight? You got to contextualize. And what does it tell the rest of the world that we have a convicted felon, a guy who cannot vote, a guy who could not join our military, a guy who could not teach in our schools, but this guy can lead our country? That's nasty. That's nasty work. And then I ask, what about this person makes him so great, so appealing that we can bypass these things? I also think that's a problem that we have. You know, that we have lowered our standards to where we just don't care anymore. There is no longer an American standard. And once we start to drop our standards, our quality decreases, and we no longer become the world power, the leader of the free world, the greatest nation in this world. We lose that. I'm not anti-Trump policy. I'm not, but I'm anti-Trump perception. We want leaders who appear infallible. Now, you know, everybody has their flaws, and we're okay with those flaws. We accept those flaws. But I think some flaws are unacceptable, you know? I think that to lead this country, we have to have a standard that not all, but the majority of Americans agree with are the standard, and we uphold that standard. And I no longer think we're doing that. But I also think that comes with there just being two parties and not many options, and you're picking either or. And for President Trump, I mean, the people are speaking. The money's coming in. The polls are showing it. And I'm not going to knock him for it. I'm going to knock the people. People, be better. Be smarter. Set a standard for yourself. Do like Kyrie Irving and stand on your morals. Stand on your values. Don't stand on a party. Don't stand on a person. Stand on your morals and your values. But to say all of that, those charges don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. It's riled up his base, and the people who are against him, it just gives them more fodder to be anti. It doesn't really change anything. And that's the problem. Hey, man, I just gave y'all a quick little 40 minutes, man. Hope you enjoy it. Shout out to Naj B, my guy. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate you. You help me keep going. Pause and love you, dog. Weezy out of here.